You remember this doll, right? This is my first repaint. On camera right now, it doesn't look that bad, but if you go over to one of my shorts, you can see the lines up close, and though I tried really, really hard, the lines still look pretty janky. I thought this face was really nice regardless, so today I wanted to redo it. When I went to the craft store recently, I bought some teeny tiny brushes. One is okay, but the other one works really, really well. So I was excited to do a repaint. I have mostly been learning how to reroot hair, so I was excited to do something different this week. Originally, I was just gonna paint over the factory paint, but because it erased on me while I was using acetone, I decided that I was just gonna do a full face repaint. Now all these dolls, they look alike, and a lot of them are from 2015, so they're like fairly new. But on one of the dolls that looks almost exactly like this one, the factory paint refused to come off like at all. But this one came off easily, so I was like, well, there's no better time to learn how to do a full face repaint, so that's what I ended up doing with this one for the second time. I have figured out this cool little method where if you take a brush, whether it's the one that you're using or maybe a slightly bigger one, and you apply acetone to it, and you very gently maneuver the brush so that you could go around the paint, you can clean up some of the messy lines that you made. So you'll be seeing me doing that. This is my third repaint. Essentially, it is the second time I have had to paint eyes by myself without the factory paint underneath. I am a perfectionist no matter what type of art that I'm working on. So I tried really, really hard to make sure that all of the lines looked nice and clean. They're probably still not perfect, but I did really end up liking the result of what I did. So I must have done a decent enough job. I really, really do think that teeny tiny paintbrushes make a world of difference. Right around the time that I start painting in the irises is when she starts to look really freaky, but don't worry, that does look better later when I add the line work in. I did watch a really, really great video on learning how to paint dolls, and I'll try to see if I can find the person who did it so I can put the link in the description, because the artist, first of all, is incredible, and second of all, she was saying that the more white you have in your eyes, the crazier your character will look. So it's best to kind of have a minimal amount of white in the eyes. And then the second thing that she said was that a lot of times when people are drawing eyes for the first time, they draw the irises right in the middle. And she said it looks a lot better if you draw them more towards the corners of the eyes. So I kept those two things in mind, and actually the eyes turned out way better than I would have ever expected just because of that tip. There was a point in time in which I realized, oh, the one eye doesn't match the other eye, and every time I kept bringing it up on camera, I was like, this looks weird. So I erased the whole thing and I started over and I redrew it to match the other eye. I took Delightful Doll's advice where she says that painting the top line over the eye gives them a little bit more realistic look. I also found it gives them a little bit more of a sleepy, seductive look as well, so I did kind of make the top liner a little bit bigger. Let me talk about eyelashes. It was really, really hard to draw eyelashes when I had never drawn them on a 3D surface before. Speaking of which, that is something that I wanted to bring up. A lot of people say that watercolor pencils are a lot easier to draw with. That might be true, but I really, really struggled with them because they are really, really hard to get off the face once you put them on there. If you try to wipe them off, it'll smear, and I didn't want to spray, draw. It just seemed like a lot of extra work and unnecessary for me. So I've been sticking with the acrylic paints, and I actually prefer it that way. Anyway, the eyelashes, they are very hard to draw because you have to make them teeny tiny. So when I started drawing them on, I had to, of course, take my brush and rinse it off and then dip it in acetone and try to get the lines a little bit thin. The brows, so I started originally with a darker color and I painted them on with a toothpick, which gave me this really great result of them looking like they were actual eyebrows, because the toothpick kind of emulated what hairs would look like on a face. So I think next time I'll try that again, because that actually looked really, really great. I just went for kind of a simple line here because I am not very good at drawing hairs on my own, let alone having the brush control to do that. So I just went with something simple this time. Right now, we are using soft pastels, which I am not super familiar with, but this is what everybody uses to put makeup on dolls, and it's great when it actually works. As you can see, the first time I tried to apply the blush, it was way too light, so I had to go through and do it again. I found that the easiest way, at least to apply blush, is to use a Q-tip. I didn't scrape any pastels this time around. A lot of people will scrape and get that nice rich pigment before they do it. I didn't do it that time. Maybe that was part of my problem. But when I did the black eyeshadow over her eyes, it looked fairly nice, and I used a small brush to apply that. This is where you do have to go in after the first layer of soft pastels to make sure that the makeup actually stays set on the doll or the pigment will rub off. So multiple times I have had to go outside and spray matte acrylic sealer all over my doll's face, wait for it to dry, and do it again 2 or 3 times before I get the desired result. And let me tell you something, do not touch that acrylic sealer until you know for sure it's dry, because it's not going to dry after a couple minutes. And there have been so many times where I left a fingerprint where I didn't need to leave a fingerprint. I had to go back and do the doll's blush a bunch of times and erase the acrylic sealer with acetone because I touched it, and once you touch it, you screw it up. I really struggled with this. Now, this is where I can totally see why people say if you're not familiar with doing makeup, you might not necessarily be good at putting it on a doll, because while I don't often do my makeup anymore, it's something that I grew up doing, and then of course you get better at it as you go along. So I did make sure to blend everything correctly. The reason that the one cheek looks so red while the other one doesn't is because I touched the stupid varnish. I touched the acrylic sealer, guys. Don't do that, because I screwed it all up, and that's where everything went wrong. And you're only seeing like 10 minutes of me painting, but it took me like, I don't know, 4 hours just to paint this. I did not want to have to do it all over again. You can really see where I started to screw up, because the one cheek is just so much more red than the other cheek, and that was due to me trying to erase over lines of acrylic sealer and then getting rid of it with a Q-tip and some acetone and then starting all over again, and it was just not good. There is something really cool that I do. I have a matte acrylic sealer and I also have a glossy acrylic sealer. So I'll spray everything down with the matte first, and then I will take a little brush and I will spray that brush with the gloss acrylic sealer after the matte one has dried, and I will go over just a small area of her eyes and then just a small area of her lip. The results look really nice. There were 2 things I noticed that was wrong immediately as soon as I put the soft pastels on the face. One of them was, of course, the blush that I just couldn't get right. And at this point, I had put so many layers on that she just looked crazy, like she had been out in the cold for 2 hours. The second thing I noticed was the very first repaint I did, there was a tear in the vinyl on top of her eye. So if you decide that you're gonna take a little tiny toothpick and wrap a little bit of cotton around that toothpick and paint on the doll, just make sure that you're not heavy-handed like me and dig into the doll's face. So my first instinct was to just call her Scarlet and then just go with the fact that she had a scar on her face. But then with the scar plus the really heavy blush, I started to notice, she kind of looks like a clown. And at first I got really frustrated because that's not what I was going for at all. So I put her away and I had dinner, and then I came back and I was like, but what if I really actually made her into a clown? So that's exactly what I did. I took my little tiny instrument here with this pointer thingy. You can buy them for $3 in the beads section. It's like a pokey thingy doozle. I don't really know what they use it for, but it works really, really good for customizing dolls in like every aspect I could imagine. Anyway, I took that and I made her a little scar where I tore the vinyl. I took some acrylic paint, and I didn't really worry about adding paint thinner or whatever to the red paint that I applied to the scar because it's a scar and it needs to look clumpy anyway. I just did a small line of paint and then I started painting her nose red. I kind of had my reservations. I was like, what if this is a total flop? But every time I kept looking at her face, I was like, but I did a really good job with the paint for the most part. Like there were only a couple things that I screwed up. So I just went with it. And I'm really, really glad that I did because I really love how she turned out. This is not what I intended for her, but the intent for me to customize dolls in the first place is to make them into fantasy dolls. And so this is my first attempt at a fantasy doll, which is great because this is my first customized doll ever. When I was done, I tried to find something that would go on her body as like a clown outfit, and I found this dress that had ruffles on it, and it was kind of ridiculous. I never thought I would have been using this dress to actually do something with it, but the ruffles just reminded me of a clown, and I just had to. These are like just these little baggies you can get at the dollar store, and for some reason I just thought, hey, that would make something really nice and lacy. I tried to at first slip it around her legs to make like a skirt out of it, and that didn't work. And then I cut it and I sort of pulled the strings tight around her neck, and it created this clown ruffle thing. And I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. All I did was like literally tear up a bag and put it around her neck. I did the same thing to her hair. Now around this time, I did crimp her hair with my crimper on the lowest setting. I tried to go like only 5 seconds in case I would burn it. I did not record that, unfortunately. And then I realized that the dress needed a little bit something more, but I couldn't figure out what it was. I decided after that it needed a little belt because she might be a clown, but she's still Barbie and Barbie's pretty, no matter what she looks like. So in order to define her figure a little more, I made this little belt out of this ribbon type stuff I found at the dollar store. It looks studded. I took some Fabri-Tac and I glued Velcro that I had cut onto the belt. I've never done this before, so I got it backwards a whole bunch of times trying to figure out where to put the Velcro, but eventually I figured it out and it made a pretty good belt. The last thing I did was find these little shoes. I went digging through all of my doll accessories and I found this little pair of loafers, and there you have it. My first custom doll ever, and I wouldn't say that she's perfect by any means, but guys, I really, really love how she turned out, especially for a first attempt. I think this is great, and it's a step in the direction I wanted to go, because originally I was just gonna make her a normal Barbie and just give her a regular makeover, but that is not why I wanted to do this. I actually really, really want to make fantasy characters, and for a first attempt, I think I did pretty good. So let me know what you think in the comments, and like and subscribe if you like my stuff. I've got other things on the way. I'm working on another project and filming it right now as we speak. And so long, guys. See you later.